Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Hard Ticket, the show where we go to the movies to see a double feature, only to find that both movies are playing at the exact same time. So now we have a hard ticket to choose between the two. I am Jeffrey Bogus.
And I am Tristan Moore.
And I am Davis Rohrer.
So we have a very special guest this week. Everybody say hi to Davis.
Hi, Davis.
Stop.
I'm sorry. I just like lifting up my friends like that. Davis, can you kind of give people a little bit more context about the work that you do and why this is a great episode to have you in on?
Okay, cool. So I do this thing that nobody realizes is an option is I am in the Army National Guard, and my primary job for the Army is literally making videos, documentary, recruiting, news, journalism, all that good jazz. Yeah. I assert my style and somehow get to make films in the Army. And of course, civilian side, filmmaker as well, all that good jazz. So it just made sense that I'd be the special guest for Seven-Kirk. Shit.
Close enough. And you also run the Sixth Shop.
Oh, Jesus Christ. My company and the whole reason for living. Yeah. Veteran-owned filmmaking company called The Sixth Shop. Our preference is that we make, well, really whatever the hell we want, but trying to uplift and get people in the service and veterans that want to pursue a career in filmmaking or the media arts and giving them that platform to make films, learn on set, and know that, you may be a Joe, but you can learn how to make a good old-fashioned film.
Yeah, and you guys make a variety of just excellent projects. They've played at film festivals across the country.
Sure.
Yeah, they're great. Davis and I have collaborated on some film projects in the past, and I was excited to have him on here. I asked him kind of what matchup he thought would be a good one to get him involved in, which brings us to today's subject material. We have a hard ticket to choose, don't forget that, between two movies at the theater. I'm going to go ahead and have Davis introduce the first pick between the two, option number A, as we so call it.
All right. So you're in a world, right? Here's option A. You're in the theater. You see four numbers. A little bad boy called 1917 in bold Battlefront 5 font. It is a World War I flick. Shout out to World War I. about two runners assigned to go meet up with another battalion at the ass end of what is now the war-torn lands of France post-Battle of Verdun, Battle of the Somme, and deliver them a message before they walk into an absolutely devastating ambush by those Germans.
Yes. That's the gist of 1917. Came out in 2019, a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah, it should have come out in 2017, like our other movie, because then it would have been exactly 100 years after the events it portrays.
Right,
Ooh,
but
nice
it was
segue.
just too off.
Just too off.
And I think this movie is known primarily for being stylized like two long shots. Primarily, that's what a lot of the marketing when it came out was kind of leaning into. Directed by Sam Mendes. Starring George McKay and Dean Charles Chapman as the two leads.
Charlie Chaplin?
Not quite. Although 1917,
he was probably alive.
He was
then.
probably alive. He probably had. So anyway, that is our first option between the two hard tickets. Tristan,
Yes.
can you tell me about option number B?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have the proper historical context that Davis has. Are you like a war, not historian, but like an aficionado?
Listen,
like...
I can't count, I can't read, but I can tell you about some history.
Well, our next option is Dunkirk, and all I do know about Dunkirk is that it's about the evacuation from Dunkirk Beach. That's in France, right?
Yeah, northern France.
Yeah, so it's the British forces, the Canadian forces, the French forces. They're all trying to get across the English Channel back into Britain during World War II. It takes place in 1940, so it's like the very beginning of the war. The war had been going on for a year at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. It's a film by Christopher Nolan. This is our second Christopher Nolan
Yes,
film.
our first repeat director. Only 10 episodes in, and we couldn't avoid just circling right back around.
We have Tom Hardy, Mark Rylance, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, Barry Keoghan, Sabrina Carpenter's ex-boyfriend.
As some
what I tell you, that's what he's known for. What I tell you,
the star of that one movie, Harry Styles. What is that movie called where he's with Florence
Don't Worry,
Pugh?
Darling?
Don't Worry, Darling, yeah.
Yes. When he has less to say here in Dunkirk, he probably turns in a better performance overall.
Oh, yeah. Say. I didn't even know it was Harry Styles the first time I watched it. Cause he's just
this movie came out the same year he did his debut solo album, so he wasn't as big as he is now, I would say.
Yeah, and they cut his hair.
Look, they're all British white boys with black hair. They all kind of
they all blend in, which I think is kind of the point.
And they're wearing these matching outfits, too.
Yeah, they're accessorizing, and they look great.
Very
chic. This is, I guess, the first Nolan movie after Interstellar, right?
Yes, Nolan's Interstellar in 2014, where I was talking to Davis about this a little bit, the switch over from...
the great transition, yeah.
Yes, the Nolan transition, because when we did our Batman Begins episode a couple episodes back, I said that was sort of the transitional period for Nolan, or the Dark Knight trilogy was his transitional period. Davis sort of disagrees with me here, where he can kind of divide Nolan's filmography in half when he starts working with Hoyt van Hoytema, who this is his second collaboration with him after Interstellar, and you definitely feel the difference. I mean, it's a scale movie for sure. Nolan's all about scale at this point.
Yeah, because my biggest thing was that I found it interesting you said Dark Knight trilogy specifically, because I could see where Dark Knight Rises, you're kind of leaning into that, right. But when I think of Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Prestige, Inception, all of those first string movies that cemented him, they all have a heavily stamped watermark that says this is a Christopher Nolan film, baby.
Yes.
And it was all shot under the DP Wally Pfister, who shot all of his movies up until Interstellar. Interstellar was the first time that Hoyt came on and manned the camera. I should also preface, and this is going to get interesting for later, he is hands down in my top 3 filmmakers. Nolan? I am a Nolan nut. When it comes to his editing and his filmmaking style, he comes out with a movie, I'm going to go see it.
But yeah, and you're going to see it in IMAX. You're going to see it on the best screen you possibly can.
You bet your sweet ass I saw Dunkirk in IMAX.
So yeah, Dunkirk is our second option.
Yeah, and we should probably talk about our histories with these movies as well. Davis, you want to start? Can you tell us when you first watched 1917 and how many times you've watched it since you first watched it?
So I'll start with Dunkirk because that's the most vivid memory I have. I was at an annual training in beautiful Fort Pickett, the land of the ticks, and I remember the movie had just come out when we were all training on the field and people were talking about, we got to go, get out there, go see Dunkirk. One person in the unit had seen it.
Okay.
And he came up and I love it how people refer to movies when they have a certain style over a Marvel film. He said, listen, this isn't a movie. This is a film. So make sure you're ready to see a film. And I'm like, got it. So I was excited to see Dunkirk. For 1917, oh my God, what year did it come out again?
2019.
2019. Okay, 2019. It was right before COVID. I'm blanking on when I met my wife. Hold on. Because that's my basis. Anyway, it was at her family's house, I believe, that we saw. I think the first time I ever saw it was on Amazon. It was Amazon rental.
Oh, really?
I don't recall ever seeing this movie in theaters. I don't know if that was because of training. I was full-time Army at the time, so
yeah.
I don't know what the hell I did, but I could tell you right now, I have no recollection of seeing this movie in theaters. But there's a good chance I definitely saw it in theaters.
Well, it was one of the last movies, I think, to get the big theater treatment right before COVID, because it comes out in around Christmas. It gets its wide release in 2019, and then just a few months later, COVID hits, movie theaters close, and your chance is gone. I saw both of these movies in theaters. I know that for a fact. I remember seeing both of them, and I have not seen any of them since in prep for this episode. So
nice.
I watched them both within the past 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah, I'm basically the exact same way. I saw both of these movies once in theaters. Memorable occasions, both times. I thought I saw Dunkirk and was really impressed. I thought at the time that it was my favorite Nolan movie, which I think is a huge hot take.
That's pretty hot.
Well, yeah, the New York Times just released the top 100 films of the 21st century. There's like 5 Nolan movies on that list, and Dunkirk is not one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Hugely overlooked.
I think it is hugely overlooked. I think it might now be kind of considered like minor Nolan, but yeah, at the time I was like this. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was one of my favorites. And then 1917, yeah, I saw that in theaters. It made a positive impression. I think I almost cried at the end. So, yeah, it's a good one. And I had never seen them again until just yesterday. I watched both of them, rewatched them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So that brings us to the question about why are we talking about these two movies? Why is our hard ticket between a World War I movie and a World War II movie, a Sam Mendes movie and a Christopher Nolan movie? There seem to be a lot of differences between the two of them. But I like to think of them as inversions, where they're making very similar points in very different ways. And Davis, we had a kind of recording conversation about this a little bit. What comes to your mind whenever you think about the similarities between these two movies?
You gotta, as soon as you get past the surface level, okay, one's World War II, one's World War I. One is, a movie in one take, quote unquote. And the other is basically Christopher Nolan's cross-cut technique, but now for 2.5 hours.
Actually, it's one of his shortest movies. It's only like an hour 50.
You know what? You're right. That's a good point. Shit.
That says a lot, though, that it feels a little bit longer than that.
Hey, good for him. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about, I think Nolan knows how to make movies feel short. But anyway, once you get past like surface level, like the obvious crap, you've got a couple things here. One, you have movies that depict major conflicts in human history, but they hone in on something very specific. Like, this isn't Tom Hanks storming the beaches of Normandy. This isn't this isn't the atom bombs of Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of British dudes just trying to get the hell home.
Yeah.
And then you've got 1917, which is surrounding big historical moments. We had mentioned Verdun, Somme, two of the biggest conflicts for the British in that war.
Yeah.
But we're just focused on two dudes just trying to deliver a message.
Yes.
So it's a hyper-focused take on, basically stories within the war, which ultimately make it like the human experience. And then from a production side, these are both director and cinematographer duos that are at the top of their friggin' game. Yeah. You got Sam Mendes with Roger Deakins, which I believe their last film they did together was Skyfall.
Yes.
Yeah, and that looks pretty good.
Well, Spectre, I think, after that, too.
Actually, Hoytza shot Spectre.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Damn it. That was a trivia fact I was going to bring up.
God, I hate Spectre anyway. But then, of course, Dunkirk, you've got, the new combo of cinema, which is Christopher Nolan and Hoyta and their new addiction to IMAX and 70 millimeter film projections.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Once you look at that, you see some interesting similarities in these movies.
Yeah.
And British.
That's very British movies.
Like, very British.
They're so, and I mentioned earlier, Nolan loves the scale. They have like hundreds and hundreds of extras in this movie, and it was very important to him that they were all British actors. This is like, both of these movies back to back is probably like British actor bingo, basically. I mean, like, you got Benedict Cumberbatch, you got Andrew Scott, you've got Colin Firth, like Mark Strong. Like,
I was shocked that between the two films, they don't seem to share a single actor. There might be some extras, maybe.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Yeah. I was shocked.
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
I think it was just like, the roles that they played in Dunkirk 2 years earlier were heavy enough that they were like, I can't do another war movie like immediately. But it is like interesting because they're not really focused on battles. One's focused on two messengers, the other's focused on an evacuation.
Yeah, they're almost survival movies, especially Dunkirk. It's for sure a survival movie. Yeah. But then 1917 is like a humanitarian, like we're trying to get to another battalion, 1,600 men to save.
You're just trying to save.
Lives, so it's all about, and I feel like that's become more and more common as films depict war. Like, we don't want to romanticize and glamorize war. We want to show like the more humanitarian sides of it, the humanity of the conflict and everything. Yeah, it's about saving lives. I mean, I don't think Dunkirk shies away from this is a fight. like that we have to win eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole end of the movie.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's like, not here, not now. Save it for the next fight, basically.
Yeah,
In
and you
1917.
end with that Winston Churchill
Yeah.
quote too. That famous quote: "We'll fight them in the beaches. We'll fight them."
Do your Churchill impression.
I'm not. I'm not cut out for this.
I mean, 1917 is kind of you have Benedict Cumberbatch at the end, who's like, "This war only ends one way, and that's the last man standing."
Yeah.
So it's like we know that, and we obviously have the retrospective of we know how these wars end, but I like the idea of focusing on the perspective of people at the time and how they might have thought about it, because no one knows how the war that they're fighting in is actually going to end. At the time,
Yeah, that's true. To me, Dunkirk kind of feels like a little bit more of a hopeful movie. The way that the civilian ships show up at the end, and there's that big swell where they're applauding. I mean, they're still getting shot at. They're still ducking. There's gunfire in the very first scene.
Yeah.
This is a fun
Dunkirk.
take. Continue.
But 1917 ends with just some of the most abysmal, like the last thing he does is break the news to his friend's brother that he didn't make
He
it.
died. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's good. That's a good point.
I think
Yes.
that plays kind of part into like the mythology of World War I and World War II, where World War I is like the war that we should have never fought. Like it was
Right.
a big waste of life, and the generals, were incompetent and caused so many people to die.
yeah,
And World War II is like the just war. It's the war that we fought to end fascism.
it's black and white.
It's black and white,
Nazis
yeah.
are evil, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly. And 1917 comes out at a time, a century after the end of World War I. People are reflecting on it.
Yeah,
You had Peter Jackson's "They Shall Not Grow Old" come out around the same time. I remember seeing that in theaters. And
Yeah.
I'm like, now I'm really thinking about World War I, which is a war that you don't tend to think about as much as the Second World War,
yes.
except for Davis.
That's what I was saying.
No,
earlier.
Davis and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
So you should take it away.
No, you are 100% correct. I give any depiction of World War I on film instantly gets a bonus point, because World War II is one of the most just like overly depicted things on the planet.
Mhm.
You from video games, books, Marvel, that J.J. Abrams movies with the monsters, freaking.
Yeah.
You have so many things depicted. How many World War I movies have you seen? And if you were to ask me, granted, there was a soft edit because they had to do a Second World War. World War I was actually some of the more game-changing in human history, because like you were saying earlier, they literally called it the War of Attrition. You had generations wiped out, at the risk of this sounding like a History Channel podcast. But the only two things I could think of in recent history that actually show World War I in modern film is the remake to All Quiet on the Western Front,
Yes.
Trucks, and 1917.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but World War II, I mean, you could probably name friggin' 20 of them right now. I mean, Saving Private Ryan alone just said, like, guys, everyone just make World War II. There's a Nicolas Cage World War II movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll
So-
have to talk about that.
Which one's that?
Freaking Wind Talkers. Yeah, about
sounds
not,
awesome.
yeah, it's not a good movie.
I know there's
Great
also
talk.
the USS Indianapolis Nicolas Cage movie where he's like the captain of the Indianapolis or the admiral or whatever. So.
Jesus.
Protocol.
Oh, God.
He probably gets eaten by a shark in it. I don't know.
Yeah, probably something like that. But yeah, I mean, I was reading like quotes that Mendez was using when he was talking about this movie, and he was talking about how like this is a war kind of like just a very stationary war.
Yeah.
You're in the trenches, you're posted up, and yet the camera is at its most kinetic. You have to keep
Always
it
moving.
moving because it's so stylized like a oneer.
Mhm.
It's that kind of movie where I can't help myself every time I watch it. I'm like, that's a cut. That's a cut.
Yeah.
They cut right there.
Yeah.
But they found a way by focusing on messengers crawling across the landscape. You know, to me, when I saw it in theaters, I remember thinking to myself, this feels more like an Odyssey. It
Yes.
feels almost like an adventure kind of movie.
It's got like a mythological aspect to it. Especially you have like the ghostly kind of singing at the end. It's almost like a siren
Yes.
call through the woods and
Yes,
everything.
yeah.
You have all of these vignettes of this guy. He starts, in the trenches, and then he's in the, no man's land, which feels like hell. Like it's harrowing. And then he's in underground, which is like the catacombs, and he's in this broken city that's like lit by the fire of a church.
Yes.
Like it is like this sort of mythological story. Contrast that with Dunkirk, which is so logistically driven. And Nolan is obsessed, I feel like, with the numbers. Most of the dialogue in Dunkirk is expository necessarily. It's like one stretcher takes up 7 men. It's
Yeah.
talking about how many people are on the beach. It's very like driven by the numbers. which I feel like is where his cross-cutting benefits, because it's you get to actually show how all these little pieces, it's like a puzzle, how they all fit together.
Yeah, it's like I wrote down that it kind of feels like a lot of vignettes happening around the same time, and he's doing that non-linear storytelling where I remember watching Dunkirk at theaters and thinking, why is this necessary? And then watching it again the second time, I really enjoyed it because there is a tension that's building across the linear narrative, the film that we are watching, that translates across time, and there is a nexus where all three of the stories connect in the third act that feels very, very earned to me. The payoff it really, all of the characters start intersecting, and I had some of the most, I think my most emotional reaction to either of these two movies was where the civilian ships show up and start assisting with the evacuation, which is around that time.
Well, and I think it's necessary because otherwise Dunkirk is basically a story of they waited at the beach and then the ship showed up and they went home. And so you need it to sort of be a little more complicated. Whereas something like two guys have to cross through enemy lines and through a devastated countryside to deliver a life-saving message to 1,600 people, you can tell that in a straightforward way, and it's great.
Yeah. You were crossing your arms with me.
Let's go back to that nexus there, brother.
Okay. All right.
Listen, remember when I prefaced this, I'm a Nolan guy, and Nolan is basically defined by the crosscut. People have been studying his friggin' Dark Knight crosscut for years now, when, you know, the Joker blowing up the boat and Harvey Two-Face with Gary Oldman's kids. I just forgot his character name. Damn it. It was this one because it felt like Christopher Nolan crosscut the movie, which at some points it works because you have this score, right, made by Hans Zimmer. It's a lot of ticking. It's a lot of and it's playing on that tensive feel that, like most Nolan films, time is of the essence. They literally tell you in the first 5 minutes of the movie,
right,
the mall takes you a week to get home. It takes you whatever by sea. It takes you whatever by plane.
Yeah.
It's actually at that point where they start morphing together. Not so much when the English civilian boats start showing up. It's when they get to the part where some of the guys were drifting out to sea and then there's like that oil spill in the fire. It was at that point where they kind of sprinkled it through some of the parts of Tom Hardy's pilot scenes, who I could never tell you his character name. Slight caveat. I couldn't tell you a single one of the actual character names in Dunkirk, to which I find that to be weird. I'll get that to a separate point. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. Anyway, it's kind of at that point I kind of felt that the need to cross-cut so heavily at that point, it got a little jumbled to the point where I wasn't sure where Mark Rylance's character was.
Yeah.
It kind of disconnected me at a point. It's always that part of the movie where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like I thought I understood the time formula going on here. And I love Tenet. So I really thought I understood what was going on here. The fact that Dunkirk messed me up more than Tenet, I'm like, wait, what's
Well, yeah, I mean, but Tenet is a movie about time. It's about playing with time. And to me, just conceptually, when you're like, Nolan decides to tell the story of Dunkirk non-linearly, to me, it's like, okay, so it's like, there's so much chaos, you can't make up from down. And is that kind of what's going on here? But it's not really a perspective story in the same way 1917 is. It's three sections that are giving you the holistic view. And you could say that Finn Whitehead's character is like the anchor for it, but he's not necessarily a character. And Nolan was not really concerned with characters.
Yeah, this was his shortest screenplay, like 75 pages, I think is what I read.
And consider going in without writing one.
Yeah, improvising everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad he didn't, but...
Weird flex, but okay.
It's a Nolan flex.
It's a Nolan movie.
Imagine improvising Tenet.
You mean he didn't?
No,
he'd have to have a friggin' doctorates.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a stark contrast to basically a 24-hour span that 1917 takes place in. And it's a 2-hour movie, so there's like some sort of playing with time a little bit. It's not all literally happening in real time, but it's very much just from his perspective, space and time speed up as he is kind of registering his surroundings. and they're playing with the oneer. The oneer isn't necessarily, I don't get the feeling that it's meant to immerse you in the narrative per se.
Put you on the ground level.
It puts you on the ground level. I think I say it's not meant to immerse because at the beginning you're getting a lot of front view of the characters. You're not following them, and you do get a lot of front view, but you're not like necessarily following. You're watching as they're running towards the camera, which is almost a really smart way to frame it, because, you know, that's the whole point of the movie, is they're trying to get
to something
closer and closer and closer to it from the very beginning. But I know, Davis, we talked a little bit about the oneers beforehand as well, and the proper utilization, because when 1917 came out, a lot of people were saying it was a gimmick. And does it exceed being a gimmick, or does it just feel too much like they're trying something? They're trying to do one thing, and it comes across one note. How do you guys feel about that?
I will say the same thing I say about fan service. Just because it's true doesn't mean it's bad.
So you think it's a gimmick?
Oh, it is 1,000% a gimmick, but it works.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So let's talk about one of my least favorite things in film, at least since action movies kind of tore it into the ground and got rid of its importance. And it's called the continuous take. What was once something that guys like Scorsese and Spielberg had mastered to a narrative point. Because, like, when I think of, you know, the Goodfellas one, or walking through the kitchen, whatever, that was Goodfellas, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank God. Or I think about the way that Spielberg does, like, a lot of these, like, running, like, 2-minute takes with, like, small cuts in and there. But then there came a point, and mind you, my favorite movie's Children of Men, so this may come off as I'm full of shit. But there came a point where I think people were just trying to say, ooh, look at me and look how long my oneer is. No, look how long mine is. Well, mine has a tank. F you, mine has a plane. And then it just started to lose the narrative, like just the narrative appeal to why we're doing oneers in the first place. And then you see like Atomic Blonde or John Wick, where it literally is just that. And I keep watching some of these scenes, and in my head, I'm just going, cut.
And it exploded in the indie circuit too. I mean, you had directors like Jim Cummings, who made Thunder Road as a oneer, played at Sundance, and then he made a feature film based on that. And then it starts showing up a lot, you know, on a lot of sets I've been on. Oneers can be used to cut corners, and I don't think that's proper usage of it. But people do it because sometimes it saves money. But you're getting it across the whole spectrum of filmmakers. Like, we're seeing it on a $hundreds of millions scale here in 1917, and in the hands of Roger Deakins, who I would trust to do it more than anybody.
He could light a toilet. I mean, and I would watch it for 2 hours.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're getting it there, and again, the oneer is in stark contrast to Nolan's cross-cutting, which he's doing almost like at an exacerbated rate in Dunkirk. He's probably doing more cuts in this relatively short movie than he does in his longer pieces. Would you say that's fair?
Than like Interstellar or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, Interstellar does cut back to Earth a lot, but yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think, you know, going back to the oneer, I think it's really helpful in exploring geography and laying out like a sense of space, which I think is, you know, one half of the really important relationship that is film with space and time. So you literally are tracing this one character's journey from the British front lines all the way to another British front lines. But you get to see everything in the middle of it, which gives you a sense of scale of the war, gives you a sense of what type of journey that character actually went on. You watch like Lord of the Rings, and you see the hobbits go from a big Lord of the Rings fan.
No, this is the exact quote I told Jeff once. Please, you're killing it.
You watch Lord of the Rings, and you see the hobbits, you know, go from the Shire to Mount Doom or whatever, Casa Doom. I don't know. What is it? They call it something funny at the
Mount Mordor.
Oh, when they're in the Mines of Moria and they go to the bridge of Khazad-dûm.
Khazad-dûm, yeah. They'll go all the way to Mount Doom to throw but you don't see everything in the middle, and you couldn't, right? Because like that movie would be a couple months, and there is like a famous like art house movie called like, I think it's called like the number, like how long it is. It's like 24,000 hours, and it's a shipping container going across, you know, like, I don't know, like Pacific or something. And it's like just to illustrate like a sense of like scale and time and logistics. And so I think that's definitely doable in a movie like 1917. And I think I mean, I think, yeah, you could call it a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that works. It absolutely works because that's the journey.
To me, using the term gimmick just kind of cheapens the accomplishment of it. I remember when I watched it the first time, and the marketing was doubling down on how it was shot. The second time around, having not seen it in 6 years, it just kept reminding me of really classic Hollywood. And I told this to you, Davis, earlier, where the median runtime of a scene, of a shot without cutting, has decreased. Shots are a lot quicker. Shots are digital now. It's a lot easier to just, press record and stop, whereas, film really complicated the process. But you see in a lot of these old movies, they utilized camera moves and blocking in order to keep a shot going while not cutting. And to me, there are so many shots in 1917 that utilized that, and you could pick out different frames of each individual take that look like completely different shots because of the way they move the characters. And it's actually exercising blocking and camera moves in a way that's like really refreshing, because that's kind of rare. I mean, like there's a video on YouTube that I keep getting suggested to watch. It's like The Lost Art of Blocking, and the thumbnail's like from Jurassic World Dominion, where you have like
of course
12 characters trying to run away from a T-Rex, and it's like like don't block it any skilled way, because it's like feasibly impossible to even do in a believable way.
So it feels almost like an homage to an older style of filmmaking. If it weren't for like how kinetic the camera actually is and like following people around, because like old films, they are kind of blocked, almost like the way you would block a sitcom, where it's just like you can pan, maybe you can truck a little bit, but like that's about it.
And those are some of the first sound films, and then you get sort of into like the
well, like Golden Age, I feel like is pretty similar too.
Yes, yeah, when the studios are kind of ruling everything, and then you get New Hollywood, where
like John Cassavetes.
Yes,
you
Cassavetes.
Like more handheld. Yeah,
they start moving things around. It's like a classic kind of Spielbergian thing too. I mean, like using these shots without cutting in a beautiful way that makes sense. And 1917 accomplishes that to me in a way where, like, I really love a oneer when I'm not thinking about that it's a oneer, and I wasn't when I was watching 1917.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of you're right, because a lot of the advertising around this movie was so like, it's a oneer, it's a oneer. It is not even framed as a oneer. It's two shots because he passes out in the middle of the film.
Yeah, right. People don't talk about that enough.
People don't talk about it. So technically it's a two-shot film, although it's not even technically that, because you can kind of see some of the digital scenes where they've cut like into another scene, like a tree passes in front, or like a body passes in front. I think like logistically it doesn't bother me as much that they kind of cheat the oneer, because the effect is still the same.
Yes.
We are always with Schofield, is that his name?
Yes. William Schofield.
We are always with him no matter what. Even when he passes out, he wakes up in the exact same spot. He hasn't been carried off somewhere.
Right.
So we always get a sense of the actual journey he's made. So to me, like the discussion about the logistics of it, ironically, where Dunkirk is a movie that is so focused on logistics, and I really care about the logistics of that movie, this one I'm just a little bit less like, I don't think it matters as much to me.
Yeah.
Because the effect of it is so great.
The inversion carries over to the technicals too, because like Dunkirk was shot on film and has a lot more cuts, whereas 1917 has less and is all digital. Because as you said, Davis, Deakins won't shoot on film anymore.
This is the same man who got brought to the round table when he won the Oscar for 2049, where Hoytema was sitting right there with him. Actually, I think this is when he won it for 1917. I might be wrong here. And he said, I would shoot it on an iPhone. It just matters about the story. And that's why you got something like, okay, you got Dunkirk, 70 millimeter film. Ooh, IMAX, Panavision H series lenses. What? Crazy. And then, of course, all the different, Nolan likes his big budget displays of things because he hates green screens, all that good jazz.
Right.
And then you take the okay, maybe this might be true when you think about cranes and moving trucks. But anyway, you think about the camera kit used on something like 1917. And that is something that we could rent right now for, like, say, our yearly big production short film.
Yeah.
It's not out of our reach. He's a man that shoots very clinically. It's clean. He doesn't like grain. He doesn't like film. He doesn't like anamorphic.
Yeah.
He just shoots a clean image and then lets kind of the grit of the design of it take the rest.
Right.
And you don't mind me backtracking a minute.
Okay.
I did say gimmick. Allow me to retort.
Okay.
Little.
Fair.
It will always start as a gimmick, right?
Yeah.
When The Revenant was like a movie shot with just natural light. Okay, that's a gimmick, but when you sit in the theater and the gimmick now convinces you, it now becomes a technique. It actually works. The gimmick has to promote itself. And Tristan said something earlier about talking about you're watching a man every step of the way of this journey. There are no missteps. It sounds like you missed the part where the camera transitioned to the back of his eyelids when he got knocked out. You didn't notice that? Cool. But there is a big thing as well you mentioned about the camera, and Jeff, you talk about it too, with where is the camera position when this guy is walking?
Right.
Whether it's in front of him or where it's behind him. And a lot of it's behind him, especially when his weapon's drawn.
Yes.
Allow me to present something, and it's why the gimmick transforms into the technique that works and why I love this movie.
Because you're a gamer.
Because I'm a gamer. And why do people like video games the way they do? It's because they have a little thing called agency. When you are put in the perspective of somebody, when you can frame a character and see the thing they're looking at,
Yeah,
and then include the trick of following them at every step and seeing every single step, you have something that 1917 has and something that Dunkirk does not. Because Dunkirk doesn't focus on a character. It focuses on the scenario, the intensity of the movement of the grand scale of the thing. But we have agency with Schofield in 17. We truly are immersed into the character here. And as somebody that doesn't like the way oneers are treated, this was used in the right way. A oneer being used to immerse yourself with the character. And my biggest example, and every film that does this now, I hate it when people shoot a gun and it's like just quick cutting to like, guy shoots gun, cuts the guy going, whatever happened to seeing the person getting shot at? This is why Saving Private Ryan works so damn well. Or the scene where Schofield's trying to cross that broken bridge and he's getting sniped at by that German sniper. We're in the same eye line as the German sniper in a way where if you're playing like a third person shooter game, it's almost like we're shooting with Schofield. We're aiming with him. We're seeing his line of sight. We are seeing the conflict of, hey, here's the dude he's actually shooting at. Even the scene where Schofield gets knocked out, gets shot in the helmet, we're seeing the German guy in the same exact shot. We are seeing the exchange of fire. So that immersion, that agency, it all comes together. That's why that oneer works.
And there is a little bit of that in Dunkirk too. I mean, the very first scene in the movie has like just some British soldiers who are hanging out, and then they start getting shot at. You push with them away as they run. They get picked off, and you never see the Germans. They're all like running away from the camera, and the only one to make it out of that scene is Finn Whitehead's character, who, if this movie doesn't have any agent or as much agency as 1917, then why did they get the Bandersnatch guy to be the main guy?
Because it's just choose your own adventure World War II movie. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So have you seen Hardcore Henry? Have you ever watched that?
Jesus.
I'm just imagining like a World War I Hardcore Henry movie.
It's like
you're really in the agency.
There might be a point where the gimmick goes too far.
Makes people throw up in the theater. Yeah.
We need our army back.
How many men are they talking about, sir?
Churchill wants 30,000. Ramsay's hoping we can give him 45.
There are 400,000 men on this beach, sir.
We'll just have to do our best.
I think that's super interesting talking about agency, because I was thinking about how World War I and World War II are actually like, I mean, they're huge turning points in technology at the time, right?
Yeah.
And not just like coinciding with turning points, they spurred the technological innovations of their time. They brought to an end the modern era and into the postmodern era. And I was thinking about filmmaking itself, which saw a huge leap during those intervening years. I mean, and you might have an opinion on this since you're a war aficionado. I want to say you like war. That feels like
I love it.
Huge war guy.
Like some people say, like World War I wasn't even like, and World War II are like distinct from each other. They're basically, they go right into one another. There's a period where it seems like there isn't conflict.
Small period.
Yeah, it really is small. It's really just a prelude to the bigger war that was World War II. But I was thinking about, filmmaking and everything going on at the time. And I love Hitchcock, and I'm always thinking about like voyeurism when I watch movies. And I'm thinking about the only reason I know a lot about like different cultures and the experience of war is through film. I only understand it because I've watched war films, and I understand I really don't want to be in a war because I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I've seen apparently what it was like when they were coming onto a beach and being machine gunned. And so I'm thinking about like these two movies, which are, 1917 is so immersive. It does feel like you're there with this guy, or even are that guy. Crossing that bridge, I think, is one of the most tense scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And, Dunkirk doesn't have the same level of immersion. I agree with that. I think it is more concerned with I keep going back to logistics. I really think that's what it's going for. It's almost like if you took a Wikipedia article and you made it like way more exciting than just reading it. But you start the movie, with these guys who are on the street and they're getting picked off one by one, and you see Finn Whitehead's character run to the beach, and you get a sense of the scale, you get a sense of the surrounding German forces. They only call them the enemy, I think, in Dunkirk. I don't know if they ever refer to them as the Germans. You don't even see any Germans in this film until technically at the very end, where they're like out of focus and everything. I love that. I love
see some helmets.
Yeah. I love that like aspect. Cops. Because and this goes back to something you hear about in World War I a lot too, which is like we never saw the enemy. They were always behind. There was a very psychological effect to being shelled all the time and not seeing your enemy behind barbed wire and in trenches. In World War II, I have to imagine it was probably similar in a lot of ways. Maybe it was a little more intimate up close, but
a lot more.
Definitely in this case, though, it's just this claustrophobic noose being tied around this beach.
Yeah, it's a sphincter.
It's a sphincter.
It's a sphincter of war.
But you're the hole in the
You're
donut.
in the asshole.
There's a mole on your asshole.
But you never actually see anything. I don't know. I love that aspect of it. I mean, I feel like immersion is so important to a war film, and I feel like war is like one of those human experiences that is almost uniquely suited for film. But also you have this big issue where every time a war film comes out and everybody likes it, it's popular, people are like, is it pro-war? Because it's depicting war, because you get a rush out of like watching it.
Yeah.
I feel like Dunkirk, where it's so focused on logistics and it strips the romanticism out of it until the very end, where it does dip into that sort of World War II, we're beating the Nazis kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it is almost, by definition, an anti-war film. There's hardly, the conflict is just trying to survive.
Yeah.
You look back on something like Come and See, which is also just a survival narrative.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, it's not a kid shooting a lot of people. 1917, I feel like is pretty similar in that regard. I think maybe it's because of the agency thing. There is a little bit more of a heroic nature to the film. There's a little bit more of a romanticization. And we talked about the kind of mythic storytelling going on in 1917.
Yes, yeah.
And how that, I think, plays into... And I feel like it's almost like making up for the fact that no one talks about World War One. No one cares about World War One because World War II happened right after, and that's
right. The better sequel. Yeah,
it's a better sequel. Yeah, it's The Empire Strikes Back to World War One Star Wars. So I feel like that maybe 1917 does dip into a little bit of almost glorifying war. What do you think about that, Davis?
I am a firm believer that there is no such thing as a pro-war movie, but there are pro-military movies.
Okay.
For example, I got friends that could go watch Black Hawk Down right now, and they're ready to enlist.
Yeah.
There are some, and I mean, like, I think the common, as far as Western culture is concerned, with the British, the Americans, the common consensus is, support the troops, right?
Right.
Please, don't hurt my feelings. And I mean, not that I've ever been to war. I need to make that clear. Never been to war. I've been deployed, been in the desert, never been to war. Cool, out the way. But I think anything depicted in World War I is anti as shit, because that was one of the most just like idiotic things that history has ever laid its eyes on. Because you were saying something about the technology there. These guys were doing Revolutionary War and Civil War tactics with automatic machine guns, with fully repeating artillery, the same shit that they brought into the Second World War. And they're like, oh wait, guys, we can move. We can use buildings, because the urbanization, you can see that in Dunkirk as well. They're fighting in giant sandbag fortresses. They're fighting through like the Parisian streets. They're getting close up unless you're in a freaking airplane. That's a whole different story.
Right.
But ultimately, going back to the anti-war thing, I I believe it was Spielberg who said that all war movies are anti-war because it's war. The only outcomes of war are death and territorial changes, right? But at the same time, for filmmaking, I do agree that war is such a good thing to explore in film because violence and war is the height of the human emotion, the human condition. You will truly discover the depths of a person when they're in combat, when they are at the verge of death and they're like, I gotta kill this mofo or else I'm gonna die, or I gotta drag my screaming buddy out. And I think when you see characters like Schofield or Harry Styles, and you see them in these intense situations, you can really explore the depths of where these characters are going to go. Because everything else where violence and death isn't concerned, the exploration, you kind of have to, see like, oh, they're hiding something. You ain't hiding shit if you're getting shot at.
Yeah.
So, not sure if that answered any questions at all, but I would agree with Spielberg. There are no such thing as anti-war film. I mean, there is no such thing as a pro-war film. There are a ton of pro-military films.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you make that distinction. I get that. I think I've heard, and I don't have like the Spielberg pedigree to back this up. I think I have heard a quote from like another filmmaker who was like, any war movie is a pro-war movie.
I think that's Miyazaki.
That was
Is
Ridley,
that
that was
Miyazaki?
Ridley Scott.
Was it Ridley
Ridley
Scott?
Scott said every
Same
war movie is a
difference, I
pro-war
guess.
movie because, listen, his war
Scott
movies
versus
are pro-war.
Spielberg. Who's your hard ticket?
Ridley saying this shit is sick. Did you say Miyazaki? Like Ghibli?
He did do great with the Fireflies. I mean,
Miyazaki famously hates the aspects of films like Lord of the Rings where they're fighting an army of just like monsters.
Oh, yeah,
because that's just
right.
like an Americanized kind of ideal. I think
the mongrel horde.
The bad guys are the bad guys. Yeah.
Whereas Ridley Scott's just a curmudgeonly old man.
Well, because of like the whole mythology around World War II, do you feel like World War II movies at least get closer to being like pro-war, where it's like we have to do this fight? And I mean, I guess no one really wanted there to have to be a war, but I mean, what does it mean to be pro-war? Maybe that's getting too philosophical. Like, what does it actually mean? Because like there are definitely times where it's like war seems like it's a necessary thing to do.
Pro-war is definitely a thing. There's definitely people who are like, we need to go kick some ass right now.
Yeah.
Granted, I mean, America didn't join the war until they got bombed by the Japanese, so it's like, but I mean, shit, World War I, America showed up in the last lap.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, like, sure, people at the base level can be like pro-war is like, oh man, Germany's trying to take over the world. The Axis powers wanted, kill entire ethnicities and ways of life. But there are genuinely some people who are like, those guys suck. We should shoot them. That's definitely a thing, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not one of those people, thankfully. I just use cameras. But
I shoot with my lens.
Shoots with a camera.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's like, what is it? We fight wars that end wars, which in of itself is an oxymoron of the human condition.
Yeah,
so
World
it's
War
like,
I was the war to end all wars, right?
they flopped on that one. But hey, we got penicillin afterwards. That was pretty cool.
War, what is it good for?
My paycheck.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that.
Just kidding. No, dude, I got flood duty. We're good.
We can all agree there's no worse war movie than War of the Worlds, am I right?
Oh, no,
Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yeah.
I want to apologize for my comment in a past episode that I said War of the Worlds was bleaker than Schindler's List, all right? That's not true. I got caught up in the moment, all right? Now I'm on the record stating that. If you didn't listen to it, go back and listen to it. I'm not rage baiting.
Trying to plug one of our best. I'm not apologizing for anything.
I just make you feel like a bad person. I just saw like, oh shit, you think that?
But I say we're good to move on to our question portion of the show.
Rock.
All right, so Dunkirk partially stars Harry Styles, One Direction member. If you could pick one boy band member to be in a war film, who would you cast?
A boy band member. Who are the big boy bands?
You could do a boy band member. Or you could also just do like a famous, like a boy singer who appeals to teenage girls, like One Direction.
Oh, like just cast another member of One Direction.
You could, yeah, or you could do like I would pick Justin Bieber.
You would pick Justin Bieber to be in a war movie. Which war is he in?
He could just be in like the Civil War. But he would have his like he would have his Bieber haircut from like 2010, and he's just like he's like the drummer boy basically.
He's the drummer boy.
Bieber's the drummer boy.
Holy
Which
crap.
side? Is Bieber a dirty Confederate?
Put the mic up to Bieber. Which side?
Bieber on the drums. We're fighting for our rats.
He is absolutely in the Confederate Army.
Bieber's like it's heritage, not hate.
Bieber's in the Confederate.
I was going to say Carlos from Big Time Rush, just because he's the wild one of the bunch.
Hell yeah.
But I don't know. Actually, you know what? Isn't it kind of what Christopher Nolan did, casting Josh Peck in Oppenheimer a little bit?
So that's kind of close. Yeah, I like that.
I would just do that, but put Drake Bell in there too.
Listen, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
If I saw Drake and Josh in the control room hitting the button, I'd be like, it's the best movie in the last 10 years.
Oh my god.
What about you, Davis?
Oh, man. If I'm looking at Dunkirk, I'm just thinking of the scene we're all in the boat, and I want Justin Timberlake, but playing exactly the character he played in The Social Network.
Oh my god.
Trying to like swindle all of these poor troops.
Oh my God, this is going to ruin the war. The World War.
The World War. Oh, that was good.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Joke at the episode.
That's Peyton's favorite part of this podcast. Thanks for that one.
Yeah, he's drunk driving a boat, like a civilian boat.
It's pulled over by like the German.
Cillian
Coast
Murphy, you're
Guard.
gonna ruin the war.
That was good.
Oh my god.
Okay, so both of these movies have sort of a stacked supporting cast, as we mentioned earlier, of really big-name British actors. Which one of the two of them do you think has the most distracting celebrity cameos, if you can call them cameos?
Oh, easy. 1917. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, I remember, and maybe it was because it was kind of the height of like Doctor Strange popularity at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't as distracting this time because now I've seen him in more stuff. I've seen him in like what the was that movie called?
You're talking about
movie you made us watch for The Imitation Game.
The Imitation Game.
Wow,
Yeah.
we just talked about that.
We did just talk about that.
Yeah, so
Oof.
I've seen him in more stuff. He's not just Doctor Strange to me anymore, but at the time I was like, oh, it's Doctor Strange.
He was Sherlock to me first, and I only saw Sherlock whenever. I guess if Martin Freeman was also in 1917, that
Oh
would
my
have
God.
just put it over the edge. I did find Harry Styles a lot more distracting this time around when I watched Dunkirk, but he would be the only one.
Yeah,
Whereas,
they gave
like,
him the most lines.
yeah,
He wouldn't shut up.
He does that. Well, besides like Kenneth Branagh, I guess, and
Yeah.
but
Gilderoy Lockhart.
That fucked me up. So I had no idea that was Gilderoy Lockhart until today.
yeah,
Are
he
you
thought he
serious?
thought he
Wow.
was in the
No
Hobbit.
clue. I thought it was, who played Bilbo? I thought it was that guy with aging makeup. I didn't know it was the same dude who
Thought it
played
was
the
Ian
antagonist.
Holm?
of the
That was Ian
game.
Holm?
I was like, yeah,
He's
Ian
like
Holm.
70 when that movie came out.
I was like, that. And then you followed it up with friggin' Harry Potter and you ruined my whole day.
If there was a de-aged Ian Holm in Dunkirk, that would absolutely be the most
God.
distracting celebrity game.
But it's like him from Alien Romulus. He's just like the waist down is just nothing there. He's like, I got blown up. He's like, I got shot. Like,
He's Robert De Niro in The Irishman walking around like an old man when he's supposed to be like 25 years
We're
old.
supposed to be in the back of the car just dying from sweat.
Who do you
Good.
think's the most distracting, Davis?
Oh man, I gotta disagree because I'm a big old cumber bitch. I love that guy. No, but I could totally buy it because that was like the height of Marvel. So like I don't care what that guy's character's name is. He's Benedict Cumberbatch.
yeah.
The most distracting one. I feel like the Harry Styles is kind of the low hanging fruit here because, like I said, when I
I'll take it.
rudely interrupted you, he doesn't shut the hell up as far as dialogue in this movie is concerned.
Yes.
'Cause most of the dialogue is either violence or like interjections from people telling him you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like get off this boat. Go shoo now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really distracting when Harry Styles broke out into "That's What Makes You Beautiful" on the beach.
Yeah, that ruined the pacing.
They could have cut that. They could have cut that.
This is going to ruin the base.
Man, you got me really thinking. I mean, the same could be said about Mark Strong. I mean,
Yeah, Mark Strong he's probably a top 3 most
I
Yeah,
mean,
he's too strong.
recognizable.
He kinda
He's
distracted
very
me.
strong.
I mean,
That,
is he
that
not?
jawline? Holy shit!
Is he not the poster boy for older bald British dudes?
Yes.
I mean, who else is there?
I thought he was Stanley Tucci at first, and then I was like, it's not Stanley Tucci.
Wait,
I
he
was
does
gonna
look like
say-
Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I mean, Jason Statham's up there too.
Who's the younger character? His actor's name in 1917? Because I as a Game of Thrones guy,
Oh,
that
yeah.
I found distracting as hell
Yeah.
because
Is he
I'm like,
one of
what's
those-
Tommen Baratheon doing here?
Oh,
Yeah, he's all grown
That's
up.
all I see.
He's
He
gone
was
to
in The
war.
King too with Timothy Chalamet, and I'm like, all I see
Yeah.
is Tommen Baratheon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had two big Game of Thrones actors
Yep.
because they've got Robb Stark showing up at the end, and then they
Oh
had two.
shit, that's
Is that Robb
right.
Stark, really?
The Lannisters and the Starks united in 1917. Yes, yes.
Yes, they did. Yeah, and then they had
Shit.
two Kingsman actors in Colin Firth and Mark Strong as well. So
That's so British.
just yeah. Anyway, next question, Davis, you got one.
All right. Between, I feel like my mind keeps generating back to like the Wonder shit,
Yeah.
but I also lean back to. So here's a good one because you got Nolan's scale, you got all of this just stuff and his refusal to do any like green screen, blue screen, anything.
Yes.
And then you've got 1917 that is shot meticulously as a Warner with cuts, hidden cuts. Which movie do you think was harder to make?
I think 1917.
I want
No.
to say
Wait.
1917.
Well, probably harder to direct, but to put together all the resources because they used a lot of like
They use a lot of like old ships that I
Yeah.
don't know if they were actually used in the war, but they were definitely ships that were like similar models.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of a hard question. I don't know. I think to organize all those people might be more difficult, but also the Wonder thing would probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dunkirk is probably what I would go with, but I could see it either way.
I'm looking at it from a technical perspective, and I'm going to go with 1917 because yeah, I mean that is a lot, and there's a lot of extras in Dunkirk too. But you just yell, "Duck, stand up!" I mean, like,
Stand in a line.
I'm gonna with 1917 on that one.
Interesting.
You?
I think this is a really. I might have just opened my own eyes. Because it's a really eye-opening way for people to start understanding like the differences of why all movies are hard to make, but they're harder in other ways.
Yes.
Because when you think about it, Dunkirk, the second you have to get new coverage of the same shit, now you're playing the nightmare game of continuity, the same way you would as shooting a oneer, because now but you just have to repeat that same thing. And from I believe 1917 was around 6 months of rehearsal. And the shooting obviously was a little quicker because they didn't have the resources to redo these oneers
Because they just did it in one take. Yeah.
And also, I'm just assuming Dunkirk had more money.
They were made on similar budgets.
Yeah.
I
about the same.
figure. I mean, it's at one point when you're in that many
Like
digits.
100 million, right?
Yeah, both around the 90,
100
100 million
Yeah.
mark. And they both made a similar amount to like
but
between 4 and
Dunkirk
500.
made, like 50 million more, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably because of the Nolan name draw.
Yeah. But, I mean, am I being an ass to post-production here by saying 1917's difficulty is brought down a ton when it enters post-production?
Not when you look at the VFX breakdowns,
Mhm.
I would say, because there is a lot more VFX in
Right.
1917 than there is Dunkirk.
Strictly talking about the cutting, though. Because there were certain enhancements done. Christopher Nolan doesn't do green screen, but he will do enhancements. Or he'll just put a bunch of cardboard people on a ship, which I thought that was the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
Behind it. Yeah, a lot of those guys, the troops on the friggin' boats,
Yeah.
cardboard.
I'm just imagining them getting like sprayed by like sea spray and just like folding up because the cardboard just fails.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Because I think of stuff like Adolescence. Like you've seen, I know Jeff, you haven't seen it. You
Right.
seen Adolescence on Netflix? So the shtick is that they are actually shot. Every episode actually is just one press of the record button.
I have actually seen this. Yes, I
So
watched
in
it like
theory,
3 months
what's the editing?
ago. Yeah.
That's the editing so much more than cutting, though. And you know that. You're devil's advocating.
Am I?
Advocate?
If
He's
I
advocating
put
for
a
the devil.
continuous shot in a timeline, as the editor, I'm not the VFX. I'm not the color grader. I'm strictly talking about the editing, the splicer.
Yeah, the splicer has an easier job in
Yeah,
1917.
which that's the editor. That's all the editor's going to do. They're going
yeah.
to piece together the film
Just say
and use
Dunkirk, dude.
temporary assets to put it together, right? Before sending it off to all the other dudes.
Yeah, I'm just not. It is like, okay, pre-production, 6 months to rehearse on 1917. That's wild. I
Yeah.
was thinking that pre-production was more of a nightmare for Dunkirk, but now I'm not sure because you're organizing all those extras, all those props. I think, honestly, they might be evenly matched in completely different sports.
I'm starting to think the same because of the trade-offs there, because ultimately, if you're editing wonders like that, like 1917, for one, it has already been decided where those cut points are.
Yeah.
So all the editor has to do while sitting with Mr. Mendez is finding the cut point, knowing that something in VFX is going to mask over somebody like another soldier, a telephone pole, a barbed wire. That's immediate jump in the process, and then it just becomes the VFX that you would see in any other film.
Yeah.
The blue screen, the green screen, the explosions, the tree enhancements, the Britishizing of it. I don't know.
Yeah, making it more British in post.
And also, I hesitate to say that the Dunkirk one would have been worse or less worse, because have you seen some of the behind the scenes photos of what a set on a Nolan film looks like? Because they basically look like cities. There are so many damn people.
Yeah.
My uncle and my aunt talk about when Dark Knight Rises came to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The amount of people that just took over that city and like just PAs.
Yeah,
There's like
no,
9,000 walkies just going out. So
I
they
believe
have the main power to really start bringing down the production difficulty. And to be honest, this Nolan we're talking about here, you know he's got a big-ass team on the pre-production side of the house. Like, they're walking into that movie knowing exactly what needs to be done, and they got the shmoney. We're talking about the dude that bought and exploded a Boeing 777 just because he didn't want to do it digitally. He's got the shmoney to make this shit easy.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
The
does.
money to make this shit schmeezy.
I guess so does Schmamschmendez, but...
Next question, I think.
Oh my gosh. What's a war that you think needs to have a war film made about it?
Wow, I actually...
Did you write that?
I wrote, excluding the World Wars, which movie would you like to see adapted into more films, or would you like to adapt yourself?
All right. Well, anyways, back to my question.
All right. Which war needs more representation on film?
Yeah. You know, we got the Patriot for the Revolutionary War. We got Glory for Civil War.
I say the Punic Wars.
Okay.
Why?
Because they had elephants and shit.
That's true. Yeah, you're on...
Are you a big, like, Punic War person?
Well, you know, it's Roman Empire. You know, I think about it every day.
The fall of Carthage.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire is your Roman Empire.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's one of the first, like, historically conflated as, like, an epic thing sort of battles that I don't think I've seen, like, a mainstream adaptation of. You get, like, pieces of it in, like, Lord of the Rings because they've got the elephants there. It's really important to me that elephants are depicted
Big
in
Mama
this
Kill
movie.
guy, got it.
But yes, yeah, I'm going to go with the Punic Wars.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Davis?
Dude, I'm like, you're asking the history dude, and I get like so hyper focused. You know what, Jeff? I'm gonna give you one that I actually think about a lot, and I think you're gonna appreciate this.
This is your Roman Empire?
The mining revolt against the U.S. in West Virginia would be an amazing war film.
Yeah, we have Mate One depicting Bloody Mate One by Johnny Sayles, and that's it. That's the only one.
Is it good?
Yes, it is. Highly recommend Mate One.
I'd
Shout
check
out
because like I'd love to do that shit because like me as far as like that's like my hyper focused one because you know people it's my comeback to when people say redneck.
Yes, yes.
Anyway,
no. Yeah, I'd love to see the Battle of Blair Mountain, the first conflict since the Civil War that American troops were called to fire on their own citizens. I would love to see that.
Conflict that the Air Force, in the history of the Air Force, dropped bombs on people.
Yeah.
Period. And it was West Virginians.
in the year 2025, you can still go to Blair Mountain and pick up, like, you can find shotgun shells that were used.
Popped off.
Yeah. I mean, I have thought about it too. You know, I've read Storming Heaven by Denise Chardenia. It would be a great book to adapt this conflict from. Highly recommend that. Check that book out. But yeah, that would be a great one. It's not like a war necessarily, but it is like it's a union that they busted.
It's
It's a class war.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I was gonna do the Emu War.
I knew you were going to do the Emu War. I knew it. The only war in which animals were a
combatant and they won.
Yeah, they did not defeat the emus.
Yeah.
It was like a population control thing.
See what
wasn't
happens
it?
when you do your part?
Yes, I don't know.
Okay, well that takes away my next question. So I'll
Wait,
just...
well, say it again.
Is it about emus?
No, it was the same one. It was the same one that was just asked. So I'm just going to move on to my final one.
All right.
Which one of these two movies makes a better argument for the big screen experience?
Oh,
Shitballs.
Dunkirk,
All right, next question.
because it's huge.
Because it's big.
Because it's
Because
so
it's
big.
Christopher f***ing Nolan.
Yeah, no,
Because
it's Dunkirk. It's definitely Dunkirk, right? I mean, I just remember that one being so much more impressive in the theater. I love 1917. I think it's a great movie. But yeah, I feel like you can watch it on your iPad or your telephone. I'm just kidding.
You will be cheated. You agree?
I agree, but it lessens Dunkirk by agreeing with it.
You're saying that like when you watch it now, it's like a shadow.
I saw that bad boy in the theaters. I about shit my britches when the one like British pilot gets like shot at in that really quick cut and you're not sure what happened. I was like, Jesus Christ, because like the surround sound made me jump out of my pants.
Maybe the lesson here is that you need to invest in a better surround system in your home theater.
Yeah, it just cheapens
Bitch,
your
I watched it with
home
headphones
theater
on.
system. That's all it does.
I do think Nolan does have a tendency to rely on the bigness.
He caters to it.
The
Yes.
depth to where I think it speaks so well to a movie that whether I see it in theaters or I watch it on my shitty broken iPhone, but I am still locked in.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I watched Dunkirk last week. When we got to the middle, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. I love Dunkirk, but maybe it's because I've seen it a decent amount of times as much as 1917. But like the fact that I could throw 1917 up on my Samsung TV and get the same experience.
Yeah.
To have it so uniform between theater to home, because ultimately every movie has to go to the home screen.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that one nailed both.
Yeah.
You
That's
said
fair.
Children of Men is your favorite movie?
Hands down.
I've watched that on an iPhone.
I sure as hell didn't see it in theaters. 2006. I'm still like learning division.
Yeah, I was on a bus and I watched it on my iPhone.
I watched that in 480p on a bath. My parents' bathroom. We had cable on this little tiny TV in the bathroom. That's how I watched it, because like I couldn't, you can't watch HBO as a kid. There's Cat House on there.
You were cheated.
Then I saw Children of Men on the toilet.
Ghost of David Lynch. Watched it on a f***ing bus.
Watched it on a Game Boy Advance.
No, that's a good point. That is a very good point. Yeah, Dunkirk's the best to do it, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, you have this whole like, there's like a cult. I don't want to say this because you're a big Nolan fan, but I'm not throwing aspersions to
Doesn't
you.
mean you're wrong.
But there is a cult of like personality around Christopher Nolan. I feel like, especially his like movies,
There is.
and like going to the theater and watching a movie, I feel like is very akin to like a religious experience for a lot of people. Big thing. You feel,
Everybody sits together. Everybody eats together.
yeah, and they're quiet.
Everybody.
The lights begin to dim. We come to this place for magic.
Yes.
And then, but those are the same people that are like, "Did you like Oppenheimer? No, it was boring. Did you see it in the theater?"
Yeah.
It's like,
It was not a movie.
sorry, it was louder.
It was a film.
It was a film.
It was a film.
We're full circle.
Yay! I love it. I love it. Okay, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, Dunkirk, big screen. Do you have another question for us, Davis?
What are the I mean, I feel like you guys kind of answered this, because like in my head, I kind of ask myself the elements of a film that kind of dictates somebody to say this is an anti-war film, or like this film is trying to tell you that war is bad. At what point do you think it's too much?
Like it gets didactic?
It gets to the point, because like I had this thought a lot recently, because, and it's funny because we were talking about The Last of Us while getting lunch, where like part 2 or season 2 be the game in the show. I'm like, at some point when your theme is violence is bad, I could tell that to a 3-year-old. That's obvious. Hurting and killing people is bad. So at what point do you think in these films does the idea of war is bad is like a no shit, and it now is starting to intrude upon the character story and the reasons that we want to enjoy a film sometimes?
I think there's a question there about like, when does your story become so bleak that you just kind of stop caring? Or when do you have characters that you don't care about, and so the message just kind of gets lost?
Manchester by the Sea. Yep, go on.
Never seen it. I think that maybe if you care more about the message and less about how you translate it, I'm trying to give a less vague answer than that. But like, Dunkirk in 1917, I don't think are movies that are enraptured in the message, because I think they just kind of give credit to the fact that you're not going to have a takeaway that is supportive of the conflict. But if you feel like you have to go out of the way, I mean, obviously, if you have a character who's like turning to the camera and being like, "This could have all been avoided," I mean, that's definitely too far. But if you walk it a few steps back, it might be sort of a blurry line. War as a genre isn't really something I gravitate towards necessarily. I mean, these are both really, really good movies, and I haven't watched them since I saw them in theaters, and I think there's sort of a reason behind that. It's just there's very similar themes you see a lot, and I'm not super involved in the culture, or I'm not in the Guard. I'm not around this kind of thing a lot, where I feel like people like you, Davis, you like to watch for accuracy a lot of the time. I know we've had conversations where
I'll be honest, I could care less.
Really?
It costs money to be accurate, so I get it. One of the best war films I ever seen. It's a Netflix film, Clint Eastwood's son, The Outpost.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they bought those armored vests off of Amazon. I know damn well that's airsoft gear they're playing with. They got the camo right, but honestly, they depicted the event right. They depicted the mannerisms right. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, his ribbons are wrong." I'm like, "Shut up. Who gives a shit?" And they're at war. They're pooping in their helmets. I mean, shit, Dunkirk's entire intro is just about a man trying to poop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I was digressing a little bit. I think a movie like Hacksaw Ridge, which is ultra violent, that's when it goes a little bit too far.
Hate that movie. I hate that movie. I love Andrew Garfield, but I hate that movie.
Yeah, we don't love Mel Gibson.
Well,
I was going to say, speaking of Schindler's List, I do know that there are people who say Schindler's List is a bad anti-war movie. Like, it's too on the nose.
Could have been bleaker.
It could have been as bleak as War of the Worlds.
I mean, War of the Worlds, Auschwitz.
I'm never gonna live this down. I apologized, didn't I? I'm sick of apologizing.
I'm sick of apologizing.
Oh my god.
Are you Mel Gibson or Rich Rodriguez? I'm not sure.
Speak for yourself.
Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that from people who are like, yeah, it's a bad anti-war movie because of like it's so saccharine and it's focused on Oscar Schindler.
Yeah,
and it's like in the midst of like one of the most evil events to ever happen.
That's like Terry Gilliam's critique of Schindler's List. He said the Holocaust is about like human failure.
Yeah, he said it wasn't as bleak as War of the Worlds.
It's official review.
Sorry.
I identify more with Terry Gilliam than I do with Mel Gibson. I just want everybody to know that. But yeah, no, he says it's like the Holocaust is about human failure, like one of the greatest failures in modern history, and you shouldn't glean a hope narrative from it, basically.
Yeah, so like there's an instance of an anti-war movie that has gone about the anti-war message and like to some people in a fallacious way. So
right.
I think does that sort of answer what you're asking?
It kind of like I'll be honest with you. I completely go into that question that there is not a definitive answer.
Yeah.
There's only the idea of does the morality at some point interrupt the character journey? I'm someone that says movies are about people. The story is generated by people, and then the themes challenge the people and the setting as does as well. That's how I always start from the people aspect. That's why I think Schindler's List is actually, is a great direction to go with, because we're following a singular person trying to, little diamond in the rough story amidst a huge tragedy. I can buy the same argument, though, that it is gratuitous in its depiction of the Holocaust. But I can also say that there are some motherfuckers that don't believe in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
There are some people that have a complete absent mind about this moment in history. And like you said about the cargo ship movie, where it's like so many hundreds of hours of watching a ship to understand that presence, to understand the nature of a thing. Unfortunately, there are some things that the gratuitousness has to be showed. But then I'm a huge contrarian as well, because I watched The Pacific comparing it to Band of Brothers, and I say immediately the violence was too gratuitous. So I'm just a walking contradiction, I guess.
That's okay.
Which is fine. I've accepted this.
This is a safe place.
Yeah, I guess I just sit there and I watch the film and I'm like, okay, did the themes overlap too hard where I don't understand Oscar Schindler's journey?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do I, do so many Japanese and Marines like kill each other so much that I don't understand why I'm specifically watching this squad of Marines? or say, I do think Dunkirk in 1917 do a great job of balancing that theme and character to where you could have, the theme of World War I does affect Schofield. The themes of World War II do affect whatever the hell the guy's name is you said.
Tommy.
There it is.
Harry Styles.
But it's still, at its core, a character journey.
Well said.
Yeah. I have a final question. So harkening back to an earlier conversation that you and I had, Jeff, the very beginning of this podcast, we had a conversation about what constitutes a bro movie. Are these two, is 1917 and or Dunkirk a bro movie? And are war films in general, do they kind of sometimes fall into that trap?
I wouldn't ever dismiss like a whole genre.
Yeah,
as
no.
I'm
talking general, like in broad stroke. Like they're men movies, right?
Right. I think, I kind of was looking up stuff about these movies before we recorded. Dunkirk is a lot more divisive, I think, than 1917 is, and I think a lot of people might brand it that because it's kind of like it's almost bro in the sense that it's like an older man like playing with a ship in a bottle. Like he's got a model ship because it's Christopher Nolan like trying to get every detail.
It's like geriatric bro.
Well,
like
I'm saying
bro.
that the argument doesn't really feel like it meets for me because like that's not a bro thing to do is try to like obsess over detail like that. And that's what Nolan kind of does. Nolan holistically is lumped in as a bro director. Yeah. I don't know I don't think I would call Dunkirk a bro movie personally. I wouldn't call it that. But I probably wouldn't defend it if somebody did or made a persuasive argument about it. You know what? I would defend it a little bit.
I was going to say.
I think I would.
You would bend that easy to it.
Yeah, no, I would defend it.
Okay.
Because I think we mentioned earlier, it kind of stands as a bit of an outlier for his filmography.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why it's been forgotten from the conversation in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about 1917?
No. I don't think so. I mean, I think 1917 is these are both movies that are really flexing film technique, and film has been historically male dominated, so there's a lot of conflation between like really caring a lot about the technical stuff like that and also being like gate kept by men. But I don't think, I mean, Sam Mendes is essentially adapting stories that his grandfather told him. And I don't, if that's a bro thing to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is fictionalizing those stories. I mean, he's elevating them to a fictional story. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how someone might, because we're talking back to the agency point, I could see someone watching 1917 and kind of yearning for the heroics of wartime and being that person who does save all these lives. And, you know, they have a whole conversation about commendation and medals and stuff like that. And it's obviously not, the film isn't like, this really important. It's really talking about how your actions are what's important.
Right.
So I could see someone maybe watching 1917 and getting that impression. And then the end of Dunkirk, it being sort of like, you know, who's Edward Elgar's Nimrod at the end, which is like almost like a British like national anthem. Like it's very like swelling and everything. And I don't know. I could see some people watching the movies and yearning for the days when men were men and, you know, glory was won on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'll narrow it down to a simple take. Which movie is more likely to have the line, "You my boy blue"? The answer is 1917. There are multiple moments in that movie where Sam could have just been like, you know what? Before he bleeds out, dap him up. Or like they're in the back of the truck and they're all like joking and shit, and they're like trying to impersonate like some Scottish dude in the like truck in front of them. They're just broing down. They're just trying to get through. We're the Devons. Yeah, they're just Which one? Dunkirk is this shit. I want to go home. I don't care about any of you guys. Shit, the first 5 minutes, he tries to get in line to go on a boat. Dude turns around. "Is it Grenadiers, mate?" Nods him off like, "Get out of here." We just got a dead guy on a stretcher and brought him to a boat. Off. Get off the boat. They told them to swim in the water overnight. It's like, it's not that cold in the channel tonight, boys. You'll make it through. There's no sharks. It's like I'm like people hate each other in Dunkirk. So yeah, the more pro movies definitely 1917, or more likely to say you my boy Blue.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say that Schofield in 1917 gets a lot of flack when he delivers the message and has no thanks for it. Essentially, he's just like he gets told to f*** off by like the commanders
By
right
Dr.
after
Strange,
he does it,
yeah.
and then he has to go straight to his deceased
dude.
friend's brother to deliver the news. Like it's
Yeah.
a bleak ending.
But he gets a
That's
nice
the most
nap
mil-
at the end.
He gets a nice nap.
Dope nap at the end. That's also the most military shit ever.
Yeah.
That colonel was like, damn, I could have been in the books, but now Joe Schnuffy here just f***ed up my whole day. He doesn't give a shit. He's just trying to, I want to charge, baby. That's all they did in World War I. I'm going to take these dudes and we're going to go that way.
Right.
And I'm going to be remembered for it. Cumberbatch said, you're a piece of shit. Aaron Moore, that's the name of the general. Aaron Moore ruined everything.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say that sums it up.
If I got a medal, I'd take it back home. Why didn't you just take it home?
Look, it's just a bit of bloody tin. It doesn't make you special. It doesn't make any difference to anyone.
Yes, it does. And it's not just a bit of tin. It's got a ribbon on it.
Davis, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure being here.
I have one last question for both of you guys.
Well, Kurt?
You're at a movie theater, and 1917 and Dunkirk are playing at the same time, and
Oh,
you have
shit.
a hard ticket
To
to pick.
movies.
I got to call my mom.
I want to go Davis first.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Gee, I wonder which one I'm going with. It's Dunkirk. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, no, it's 1917. I actually do think that, yeah, it's probably always going to be 1917 if I had to pick one or the other. And honestly, if Dunkirk didn't have that dumbass cut to black and cut back to the main character at the end of the credits, we may be having a different conversation.
I disagree with that.
No, that pissed me off for years. I was like, why the did they do that? What is this fake out? They just edited a blank. Anyway, that's not the reason why I wouldn't go see it over it. But yes, it is 1917.
Cool.
Yeah, how close was that for you?
I mean, it took me a while to think about that. I thought this was a really solid matchup. Because like we said, these are two very different movies, but you would be shocked at how much you can compare. Down to their little British clothings. But yeah, just 1917, that agency gets me. The gimmick becoming something that works and bringing me back to why oneers can work. And go World War I.
Go World War. Yeah. Oh man, I think this was my hardest ticket yet. I'm not gonna lie. It was so close. Like I said, I hadn't seen this movie since they came out, so it's been 6 and 8 years respectively. Before I went back and watched these, I thought I was leaning towards Dunkirk. Then I watched 1917 and I was like, well, damn. That is better than I remembered. It was definitely better than I remembered. And I got past the gimmick aspect of it. Then I watched Dunkirk literally this morning. And for the first hour, I was like, it's not working like I remembered it. It really wasn't. And then the third act comes around and it all kind of falls into place. For me, it all kind of clicks when everything starts happening at the same time. Like, it gets to me. And it gave me the biggest emotional payoff I had between the two movies. Like I said, when the boats show up, I have to give it to 1917. I think because holistically,
What a fake out.
Give it up for World War I.
it could flip flop at any moment. I think I wanted to say I would rather watch Dunkirk again than 1917, but I think 1917 just works better as a movie overall. That's kind of how I feel about it. It still takes a little bit of time to pick up, but there are scenes in there that haunt me, like when he's running around the ruins of the French village and they're illuminated by flares and the burning church. There's no scene like that to me in any other movie that I've watched. It's haunting, it's beautiful. Dunkirk really works, and oh my god, I cannot stress how close it is, man. Like, tomorrow I could wake up and edit this podcast and re-record my answer, but today it's 1917.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. I'm picking Dunkirk.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm picking Dunkirk. I went into this thinking it was going to be Dunkirk, and I am sticking with it. I like 1917 a lot. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was on this rewatch because I liked the movie when I saw it, but it never really stuck with me. Dunkirk stuck with me. I thought about I keep saying the L word.
Say logistics.
Logistics. I really just kept thinking, and I kept thinking. I think Dunkirk does everything that Nolan does best. I think it does his cross-cutting best. I think he's exploring a sense of time and space best in that movie. He's not bogged down by characters that are, kind of thinly sketched. And I think it's a gorgeous looking movie. And I think the production side of it is immensely impressive.
Yeah.
And I add to all that, and I never get emotional during a Nolan movie. There's a barrier there between me and Nolan where I like his movies, I respect them, I admire them, but I never really loved them. And I tear up at the end of Dunkirk. The plane, the Spitfire flying over the beach, and it is silent because Tom Hardy has used all of his fuel, to be up there in the air and everything. And I love that. I love that fake out of the German plane coming in, dive bombing, and then Tom Hardy flies in and blows it up.
Oh, yeah.
And I love you have a week on the beach, you have a day at the sea, and an hour up in the air, and the way that all those slices of this experience come together and are pivotal in this one scene of evacuation. I love Dunkirk. I think it.
God, you're right, man. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think Dunkirk could legitimately be my favorite Nolan movie still to this day. I do love Memento, though. That's my next closest. I don't know. Are you a big Memento fan? What's your favorite Nolan, actually?
Do we have 2 hours?
Yeah, seriously.
What's my favorite Nolan film?
Well, it's probably Following. It's Following, isn't it?
I think that's the one I haven't seen, actually.
Okay.
Actually, it's The Prestige.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's a common answer.
Close second, Interstellar.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you didn't cry at the Murph scene?
No, I didn't. Although I will
This
say, when I
podcast
saw...
is over. Wrap it up.
After I saw Interstellar, and actually one of our listeners, Hannah, I saw Interstellar with her, so shout out Hannah.
Hey.
After I saw Interstellar, it was 2014, so I was 11 years younger than I am now. I legitimately thought it was the next 2001: A Space Odyssey. I do not think that anymore. But it is really good. I think it is a modern day classic. And I don't have an issue with the whole love conquers everything. I don't have an issue with that.
To be fair, it is Nolan's worst crosscut is Interstellar.
Well,
I will always admit that.
What's the best crosscut? Is it Prestige?
I mean, if you're a nerd, it's Dark Knight. If you want the fact that they did a crosscut, or you could have the 2-hour-long crosscut of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, this was so close, man. This was so close, but we are divided. We are a house divided. I wasn't sure if we were going to be all on the same page. I had no idea how this was going to go, personally.
I did not.
I did not. Actually, I knew Davis's answer.
You knew mine. You always knew mine.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us at Hard Ticket. Davis, thank you so much for coming in and playing with us on our little podcast.
Ew.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, if you like me talking for some reason, I got a YouTube channel, 6 Shop Films, not sex, it's 6 Shop Films at youtube.com.
Nice.
I talk about films, I make films, and I'm doing a sports doc from 01 to 07, and it's crazy shit.
Yeah,
and
good.
Jeff has to compliment me so much because he's in way too many of my credits listings, so it looks bad on him if he doesn't.
You can follow us on social media at Hard Ticket Pod. That's all lowercase, all one word, on Instagram and Blue Sky. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Jeff Blogus. Again, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Letterboxd at Tristan M. M as in the letter M. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tristan Less. Less as in not more.
And tune in next week when we cover Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That'll be a fun one, so tune in next week when we do that. But until then, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.
Woo! Time to go to war.
It's a hard ticket at the movies. Which one will you watch? Let's decide.